Well, welcome. I'm Stephen Stohn, the Chancellor of Trent University and a proud alumnus of this great institution, and happy to welcome today Dr. Cathy Bruce, the new President and Vice-Chancellor of Trent University. Cathy, it's a delight to be chatting with you this morning.
Thanks, Stephen. Looking forward to the conversation.
Let's just start by, tell us a little bit about the early Cathy Bruce. I mean, you grew up in a household, there was four kids, you were the youngest. Did that mean you had to sort of reach out for attention, or what was it like?
Absolutely. I had to speak really loudly and fight for what I got. My parents were amazing, but it doesn't matter. With four children, and you're the fourth, there are less photos.
That's right.
There's less attention.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think I developed some scrappiness and some persistence through that.
And grit. You've talked about
Yeah,
grit
for sure. Yeah.
Well, then flash forward to about 20 years ago when you first came to Trent University. What made you come to Trent?
I am an educator at heart, and there was an opening in the Faculty of Education. I pursued my graduate studies along the way, and I thought, this place feels really good. Just walking on the campus here at the Simons campus was an incredible experience along the river. I'm a water person, so I kind of get my energy from the water, and to have the water nearby at all times really is something very important to me. But it's the people. The people here are amazing. The faculty, the staff, the students are just incredible. The alumni, and I describe it as collective effervescence. It's this idea that there's joy and energy, and in the end, a shared purpose. Yeah. And so I just was so drawn to that.
And why education? Were you drawn to education sort of throughout? Did you have a really great teacher or something? Or?
I don't think I was the best student, actually. I was probably pretty trying. I remember my kindergarten report card said something quite negative, actually, about speaking out and that kind of thing, which I had learned as the fourth child. But I kept up with that all through school. And so sometimes that was well received and sometimes it wasn't well received. But I think as I grew up, I started to learn in a way that was more personalized to me, and then eventually really found my place. So in the end, I wanted to teach. And part of it is I'm really interested in mathematics. And I wanted to figure out how to teach math in ways that really gave all kids access to complex ideas and to problem solving. So that's my sort of lifelong passion. And I've studied how to teach mathematics for a long time now.
And you've written books.
Yes, I've written books. So usually do these fairly long studies, like about 10 years. I did a study on linear algebra, another one on rational numbers, and then from that publish papers, but at the very end of that, write a book for teachers that's going to help them do the work and sort of spread the word.
Okay, so over the past 20 years, you've been able to do that and to work at Trent University amongst the effervescence at Trent. And now, after a nationwide search, you've been named the president. And that's something entirely new. Like, being the president is different from being a dean or a teacher. Like, what's the future going to hold?
Yeah, absolutely different. It's much more external facing, so great opportunities to connect with alumni, with donors, with government officials, and so on. And that part's really interesting. But I want to say, Trent took a chance on me in 2003, and now it's my turn to give back. So I just feel like this is a way for me. Through my career, I learned so much, and I've had various roles. Dean, vice president research, and now this. And so through that, almost like a second adult growing up or something, I've developed the leadership skills and the innovation to really make this hum. So when the opportunity came up, I thought, this is something I must do.
Yeah. And these are interesting times. I mean, stepping back from Trent for a moment, to be the president of a university
Now.
any university now
Yeah.
is an extraordinary, well, we'll say it's an opportunity, but an extraordinary challenge. I mean, the world is going through such changes now.
Yeah, there are so many geopolitical matters, financial matters. It's a pretty complex time, um, but I'm a problem solver. And the other thing I would say is, coming back to the energy of this place, we're problem solvers together. And so the VP team is amazing, administrators are amazing, the deans are amazing. There's a real energy to solve. And so I feel confident that we can work through some of these really complex issues. And frankly, our students are going to be facing these complex issues and more as they go forward.
Yes.
So we need to model for that, right? We need to be models so that then the next generations are seeing that and seeing how they might go about their work. It takes interdisciplinary work. It takes creative minds, critical thinking, broader pictures.
And that's very much Trent. I mean, you talked about, as when you were growing up, how important a personalized experience was to you. And that's something we really treasure here at Trent, is the multidisciplinary approach, but a personalized, college-oriented approach.
Absolutely. That personalized part of things is key. I think about alumni like yourself and alumni I've been talking to lately, and what they talk about is what happened to them as a Trent student and how it transformed, because it was personalized, how it led them to great things in their lives, both like personally and professionally. And I hear those stories every day. People have been coming and visiting me in my office and telling me these stories. It's incredible. So we want to pick that up, that personalized experience, and we want to take it forward to the needs of the students today, which is a little bit different, say, than when you were here, right? So, we need to evolve with that as well, and support what personalized means for students of tomorrow.
Yeah. And you and I have had this conversation before, but I'm really convinced that over the next 5 to 10 years, the world around us is going to change dramatically, but that Trent is actually uniquely positioned to address this new world where there could be unemployment, there could be disinformation, there could be all sorts of things going wrong. There could be a lot going right. Maybe we'll cure cancer, maybe carbon will be solved, but it's going to require thinking in new and different ways. And that's always been a hallmark of Trent. And you've talked about that in the past.
Yeah, we need to be the university in Canada where bright minds gather and work on these innovative solutions to some pretty complex problems. It doesn't mean you have to always be a problem solver, but that's part of the work ahead.
Yes. Thinking in different ways.
Thinking in different ways. Critical thinking, creative thinking, capturing that innovative spirit and pushing that forward to get to solutions that are, we haven't even talked about environmental challenges ahead.
Yes. Yeah. And now, if we could flash forward yet again to, let's say, 10 years from now, what do you think your legacy, what would you like your legacy at Trent to be?
Yeah. Legacy comes in a few different forms. One is physical. So we have some major projects on the horizon. The largest build ever for our new college and residence building, Giriga-Megazé, which will be on the East Bank. Major job, major work, and I'm hoping we will be working toward real progress and maybe even toward completion by 2028. There's the Seniors Village. We have now we're now moving ahead with the long-term care home, shovels in the ground in the spring, and that Seniors Village is critically important to this idea of the Trent of tomorrow being a space for lifelong learning. It starts with childcare or even sooner, and it moves all the way through life. So that's a very important project as well. One more physical kind of example would be the farm. So we have a new 30-acre research farm. There's 2 other parcels we can develop as well. The drive shed is going up right now. That's the first building on that land. And there's so much interesting research on sustainable agriculture ahead of us there. Carbon capture, et cetera. It just really fits with Trent. So those are 3 examples of physical projects. But I think there's another side to legacy, right? It's about coherence and bringing coherence to the institution. And one of the things I've been mandated to do by the Board of Governors, which I welcome, is to crystallize the vision and mission of the university. So that there is a vision and mission for the university, but it's over 10 years now that it's been developed. And so it's time. It's time to work on that and say, what are we aiming for 10 years from now? It's not just me, though. It's when I'm asking people, I'm talking to people, I'm asking them 2 questions. What is Trent at its best? And what will Trent look like and feel like 10 years from now? And I'm making mad notes along the way. And we'll get into a more formalized process now. But I guess my point there is it's not just about me. I want to have legacy. I want to make sure that we're building together. But part of that is coherence and shared vision, community-based. This university came from community. Where is that community base? And where we're headed together.
Yes, I was going to say, you talk about Trent being a city within a city.
Yeah.
And the community is very important to you.
Very important. Yeah, Trent was built from community, and we need to pay attention to community at all times. We have our 4 First Nations just in this region, very important collaborators. We have the city, we have the municipalities and the region, and then at Durham as well, on the Durham campus, a whole other world of community there. So I think that integration, we're not just this sort of thing in the north end of Peterborough. We are part and parcel of the community. There was an expression that you would know, town and gown.
Yes. Oh, I remember it back in the day. I used to ride around Peterborough with my gown, on a bicycle.
And in Coimbra, in Portugal, they still do that. And there's something about it, right? I'm wearing my gown because I'm a university student, but I'm right in community. And that connection is really important. When we have lecture series in the downtown, when we have the Jalen Bennett Amphitheater on the Trail campus, those are really important markers of community. And so that integration is extremely important, and consulting with community is extremely important.
And speaking about community, we've got the Simons campus, north of the city. Trail, of course, is within Peterborough, and there's the Durham campus, which has been doing phenomenally.
Yeah, incredible growth at the Durham campus. It's sort of, on the east side of the GTA, which really draws students from that region. And international students are also interested because it's close to Toronto. That campus has grown dramatically. One of the most exciting things I think about.
So one of the challenges that is very much in the news is international students and caps on visas and things like this. Trent has been doing pretty well in the international area, but a lot of universities are suffering. Tell me about it.
So there have been a lot of announcements reducing the number of international students that can come to Canada and get a visa to study, and Trent is no exception. So we've had some major revisions in the way that we're able to do our work. There have been some delays. I'm worried about the reputation of Canada, to be honest with you. Students won't be interested in coming to Canada if we are turning them away at such a rapid rate, or if they get the impression that we don't want them here, but we do. And so we will be working very hard to work with and attract international students. That said, Trent's always been a good actor. We have always been very careful with wraparound supports for our international students, just as we would for our domestic students. High quality education, very serious. So that part I feel very confident about. What we offer is a high quality education, whether the student's domestic or international. Now, the impact of the cuts on international visas is going to have an impact at Trent as it does everywhere else. And we're going to have to navigate that together. It's not going to be easy, actually, and it's a pretty interesting way to start a presidency.
Everything we've been talking about really does require funding. And we're in the midst of a very ambitious, momentous campaign for $100 million, and we're well more than halfway there, but it's still ongoing. And we call it a momentous campaign because momentous things are happening at the university.
Inside the word momentous is the word moment. And the moments matter. It's the moments that help people know that they should give to this university. I am not afraid. First of all, you're right. It is the largest campaign we have ever had. It is very ambitious, and we are over halfway. But I am the chief asker. That's one of my jobs as the president. And I am so happy to do that because Trent deserves people's donations. Trent deserves that energy and that push for our students. Our students deserve it, and our faculty deserve it. It's a great place to sort of sink energy. So with that, I am excited to be on the road and talking to potential donors, and I feel very confident about it. I had to think about that for a bit. You know, how do I go about this asking? And then I had to say to myself, actually, of all the places, Trent deserves this. So this campaign is momentous because it helps us imagine the Trent of tomorrow. We have so much work to do together, and the kinds of momentum this will drive is things like the farm. I was mentioning earlier the farm. If we have all of the facilities we need at that farm, it's going to help our students thrive. We're going to have new discoveries scientifically. We're going to have social entrepreneurship. All of that starts to come together in new ways. So the research, the quality of teaching, the facilities themselves all benefit from those kinds of donations and support.
Now, our time is coming to an end, but I want to get back to Cathy Bruce, the person.
Yeah.
Just a couple of questions. If there was a book you have not read, but you would like to be reading now, what would that book be?
Oh, so many choices. I have a stack beside my bed that is ridiculous. And actually, I love to read fiction when I can, because almost always I'm reading nonfiction. Let's see. I think I want to read Louise Penny's new novel, Something the Wolf. Yes, I love her novels. I went to school in French. And her novels take place in this Three Pines, this sort of French-English town. And Inspector Gamache is the, sort of mastermind behind solving every crime. And I just get so drawn in. But Louise Penny is an amazing writer at the same time. So there's poetry in there. And it's just beautifully, beautifully put together. So that would be my next book.
Okay. Well, and on the topic of things outside of work, you are, I've heard, a very good golfer.
Oh, I'm not a very good golfer. Here's what. I like to play a number of sports, but I play them all quite badly. But golf is one I am improving at. I took it up about 3 years ago, so I'm getting there. I love it. I love to do things where I'm absolutely having to concentrate and everything else has to go away.
It's very meditative. You've got your eye on the ball. You're not thinking about budgets. And,
It's a bit of a crazy game. You've got this little ball and this long stick, and you got to kind of hit it and hope it goes somewhere. And,
right.
But it's just a joy, yeah.
Oh, that's great. Okay, and one final question I like to ask everyone. If you could have dinner with anyone in the world whom you have not already had dinner with.
Yes. You mean besides you?
Thank you so much for saying that. Who would that person be?
Yeah. Can I pick one dead and one alive?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, excellent. So on the category of already passed would be maybe Fibonacci, Leonardo Fibonacci.
Oh, yes.
Italian mathematician.
The Fibonacci sequence.
Yes. So the thing about Fibonacci is he went, why I'd like to sit with him for dinner is because he went around the world and he learned about number systems and mathematical systems from a whole bunch of different parts of the world and introduced the Arabic Hindu numeral system to Western world. That includes place value. So before that, there were all kinds of crazy ways of, sort of doing the mathematics. But that was actually a major contribution. And somehow a real genius can take something really complicated and explain it in a way that makes sense to lots of people. That's what he did.
Okay.
So I'd love to hear about his travels. I'd love to hear about how he was synthesizing across math systems and number systems, and how he, in the end, decided to introduce, place value to the world. So that's one example. That's my math geek side coming out.
That's wonderful. I was going to think it has to be a mathematician, but how about a living person?
I could have picked a geometer because I love geometry, but I think there's something special about the way Fibonacci did his work. Yeah. Living. Okay. Now this will be controversial because some people really find this person intriguing and other people find them not so intriguing. But I think they'd be an amazing dinner guest. Funny and engaging is Malcolm Gladwell.
Okay.
Yeah. So, he wrote The Tipping Point. He's just come out with a new book, and I heard him interviewed the other day on CBC, and I thought, yeah, I want to meet him. I want to meet him, and I want to talk to him and ask him lots of questions. I love the way he is interested in education, especially higher education, and picks examples from that. Now, he's a storyteller. There is no question. He builds story from evidence. And so I like that combination very much. But don't you think he'd be fun at dinner?
He makes things so accessible.
Yes.
Yes.
Once again, maybe the same theme, right? Somebody who's extremely bright, who can take some pretty complex ideas and bring them to people in accessible ways and fun ways.
That sounds like a description of Dr. Cathy Bruce at Trent University. Thank you, Cathy. It's been such a pleasure.
My pleasure. Yeah, thanks, Stephen.